So we can officially say that WrestleMania week is done because we have had the SmackDown after WrestleMania, and I tell you this, I quite like the direction of WWE. That's because I'm massively into John Cena versus Randy Orton. I thought this after Raw, when Randy Orton just appeared from behind him like magic and gave John Cena the RKO. But here, they went to the ring and they basically just eviscerated each other, and you just know they went to the back and they giggled like schoolgirls, right? Because you could tell they're good friends. You could tell they were very much enjoying the fact that their roles have been switched. And I think that's my favorite thing about it. If I had told you 10 years ago that in 2025 we were going to get bad guy John Cena versus good guy Randy Orton and the fans would be totally behind it, you would have laughed at me and punched me in the face, and you would have been more within your rights to do that because it sounds so absurd. But that's what wrestling does to you. Eventually, if you hang around in it long enough, it will give you any kind of scenario, particularly one that's totally opposite to the one that you're used to. I've seen a few criticisms on social media, which you're always going to get, saying, oh man, when the bell rings, it's going to suck. I don't really know how to comment on this because people have already got mad at me. Because before the Travis Scott stuff, I'm going to underline that again, before the Travis Scott stuff, I thought Cena versus Cody Rhodes was all right. I wouldn't call it like an all-time or anything like that, but there was certainly a lot of entertainment values I could take away from it. I thought the way Cena acts as a bad guy, when he just does punches, kicks, and double axe handles, was very amusing. I think Cody Rhodes is great, but mostly the fans were into it the whole time. And usually when you have that kind of atmosphere and you have that kind of cheering and booing, etc., although it's mostly booing, I can take something from it. And I think, given that the history that John Cena and Randy Orton have, they'll be able to come up with something good. And sometimes it is just about star power, and they both have it. Now, in a million years, I did not think that Randy Orton was going to say, your problem, John Cena, is that you need children. I could have guessed this for a million years, and I wouldn't have come up with that. But it worked really well, because John Cena sort of went on a big tirade, saying the reason I didn't have kids of my own is because I've raised all of yours. So if you're watching this, and you have children, and you've been a WWE fan for a quarter of a century, John Cena feels like he's done a better job of bringing up your kids than you. That's quite the insult. And of course, Randy Orton is your guy, and he's saying, no, you're being ridiculous, you're not doing hustle, loyalty, respect, and you've got confused to the point we eventually got to this very strange stalemate, for lack of a better term, when Cena was like, listen, bro, you don't get it. I'm taking this championship away forever when I have retired, so your record of 14 title wins goes down to 0, and you're never going to get anywhere near 1-7. Now, I do not think it works that way, but it was just the way that these two guys spoke to each other. Now, John Cena is very over the top as a heel, but that's the reason I like it. He comes across like a supervillain, and it just puts a smile on my face. But the great counterpoint to this is that Randy Orton came across like a real human being. Like he was talking to him, like he was trying to get through to an old friend who just wouldn't listen anymore, and he finds it all ridiculous. He spoke about his legacy, the fact that he's always here, and John Cena is now essentially a guest. Without all the fans, he wouldn't be the wrestler that he was, and he wouldn't be able to get into Hollywood. And all of it really sounded like they could have had this conversation backstage when John Cena retorts as if he's Thanos. I just thought it was great, right? And of course it ends with John Cena throwing the belt at Randy Orton and cheap-shotting him, and he's about to lay him out with the title again, and Randy Orton gives him the RKO. Now this, depending on how many episodes of Raw or SmackDown Cena's going to be on before Backlash, and that match got confirmed for then too in St. Louis. That was another great line too, when Cena was like, I want to do it there because it's your hometown, and I can finally finish you off for good. But I have to imagine that yes, if Cena is going to turn up, he is going to get laid out by the RKO, because Randy Orton is not going to win at Backlash, and that's where the WWE creative team needs to have a really good idea. I mean, obviously John Cena can cheat to win this, but it can't be Travis Scott, because that would be ridiculous. But we need to carry on the John Cena title reign, but we need to protect Randy Orton, because whatever Randy Orton does after this is going to be pretty big. I mean, does he finally go heel himself and take on Cody Rhodes? It doesn't feel like it's time for that right now. But Randy has sort of got to this point now where he is a super duper wooga megastar. He's on the same level as John Cena in many ways, because he's been there so long. He does have such a history, and we've grown up with him. That was kind of his point here too. Like, he talked about how he used to be a bit of a renegade, but having a family and having kids and having children has allowed him to settle and fill a void in his life. And that's what John Cena needs. I could just hear them talk to each other forever, to be completely honest. And if you do watch this episode of SmackDown, they did talk forever. It went on for around about 72 years, but I was never bored, and it did the job in making me want to see that match. I don't even know how you lay it out, because their feud back in 2009, or whatever the hell it was, it did go on way too long after a while. And I would say that it never really hit the heights that we expected. Sometimes that's just the way. Whereas now, given everything we do have, I'm very excited to see how they put all this together, and I think we can come up with a good plan that will keep people interested. And John Cena is going to be down to like 24 dates after this, so maybe he's not even around for a little while. Maybe he is going to go away. Although actually it's like 3 a month, isn't it? Given that we've only got a few months left of the year. We've got like 6 or 7 months left of the year. But great stuff. Again, it just feels so unique and so surreal to see this even happening. I'm just here for the ride, to be completely honest with you. I understand I am being more forgiving than some. But John Cena just entertains me in this role, and everybody loves Randy Orton, so that was a massive tick. And in terms of SmackDown otherwise, it really was a victory for the tag team scene. Fraxium have been called up, had a great match with Los Garza that you should watch, and won clean. And that TLC match between, who was it, the Street Profits, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. Tommaso Ciampa's lost his beard, DIY, and the Motor City Machine Guns. I mean, it should have been on WrestleMania. That's a huge... I don't want to say it's a mistake because they stole the show here, but if that is the kind of performance they were going to put on, can you imagine we did it at WrestleMania? Given the TLC matches we've had in the past, they really could have been a part of that conversation for ages. And there's not even much I can say about it. You just need to go and watch it. There was nut spots with chairs. There were so many people being thrown through tables. And of course, the ladders got involved. And flipping Angelo Dawkins gave, I think it was Ciampa a spear. He was doing the Jeff Hardy, I'm swinging off the belt, and they crashed through a table. And the best thing about it is that it wasn't smooth, right? It was the most rough-looking, messy spear ever. But that kind of made it feel real, which is me being a little bit over the top, but it's true. I mean, it was just fantastic. And even the finish was kind of innovative in a little way. You had Chris Sabin and I think Johnny Gargano climbing up the normal sides of a ladder. So Montez Ford was like, well, I'll just climb up the side of it. I mean, all right, you can do that. He smashes their heads onto it. They fall down. And Montez Ford got such a big pop when he grabbed that belt because everybody knew there. It got a bunch of "this is awesome" chants, although, you know, that just happens all the time now anyway. But you could just tell from the reaction, because it wasn't the most sort of climactic finish. I wouldn't call it anticlimactic, but sometimes we come up with really interesting spots. Here it was, you go, I'm going to grab the titles. But I think people were so impressed with what they had just seen, they were going to go crazy regardless. The Street Profits are your champions. And now, I don't want to say we have to reset the tag team scene, but I don't think you can keep going around the houses with Pretty Deadly and DIY and the Motor City Machine Guns and Los Garzas. There's a way to do it, but we need more story, we need more personality. I would definitely try and get Fraxium some mic time, because they have a great relationship where they love each other, but they hate each other, they fall out all the time. And I guess you could do them versus the Street Profits, but it is babyface versus babyfaces. But I really hope this gets stretched out in a good way. But it is fantastic. And if you're only going to watch one thing today, watch this, even over the John Cena, Randy Orton stuff, because I just think it's one of the best TLC matches we have seen for some time. It is really, really good. You also had the return of Alistair Black, which has been teased for ages. I don't think anybody's going to get mad about that. Well, that's not true. Some people are upset because the Miz is out there going, I can't believe I wasn't on WrestleMania. So Alistair Black comes out and Black masses his head off. I don't think we're going to do an Alistair Black versus Miz feud, right? I just don't. It's just an easy way to get him a victory against somebody that can lose, and it's not going to make a difference. You reintroduce him to the audience. There will be some people who have only just got into WWE that don't know who he is. So why not start him off by beating somebody who is as featured as the Miz? I don't think it's a problem, especially if he gets into a proper feud after the fact. It's like Rusev from Raw when he took out the Alpha Academy. I don't think he's going to have a prolonged feud with Ortiz or Tozawa. He can just beat one of them or beat both of them and then move on to something else. I can never get mad at old stars coming back, because jumping ship, be it WWE to AEW, AEW to WWE, is the best, and I never want it to go away. That's one of the main reasons why tribalism doesn't make any sense, because it allows people to feel like superstars again. It allows people to get more money, and the wrestlers have choice. And there will be plenty of people that want to go to the other side eventually, because that's just how it works. And I bet post-Backlash we'll have a much better idea of this. But Alistair Black came out to his OG theme. Rusev wasn't allowed to come out to his OG theme. I suppose because that's a real song that Alistair Black won, so it's easier to license. I think it was not Def Rebel. CFOs did the Rusev theme. I don't know, but I did think that one was better. But even still, it's made me happy. It made me excited. I wanted to see where it was going to go. Zelina Vega won the women's US titles. We were doing a lot of changes. I loved it on the night, because if anybody deserves a title, it's Zelina Vega, my gosh. But it is a shame that there was not even a hint that the Women's US Championship could be on WrestleMania. I talked about this on Ups and Downs, so make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling, and please do subscribe to me too. I just feel like we can do more with it in general. So it feels funny to me we've had our first title change. I don't want to say it feels random. The Chelsea Green Zelina Vega stuff's just been a bit rushed, right? It hasn't really had the attention that I feel like it does deserve, especially because Chelsea Green and her secret Hervis are excellent. And Zelina Vega always does come across like a good underdog babyface. But it was a nice moment, right? And nice moments you should do post-WrestleMania. Although, again, you probably could have done this on WrestleMania. I don't know. Just something that made me raise my eyebrow. And I really like the US title thing we're doing for the men's division, because it sounds like it's going to be Drew, LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, and Damian Priest. Because Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa kind of fall out after Solo was like, I'm responsible for all of this. LA Knight wants his rematch. Drew McIntyre comes out. He wanted to go after Cena, but Randy Orton stole that spot. He then falls out with LA Knight. We do LA Knight versus Drew McIntyre, and of course, it ends in a disqualification because WWE loves that finish more than anything. And that's mostly because Solo Sikoa spiked LA Knight, and then Damian Priest stopped Drew McIntyre from taking advantage. Then Jacob Fatu laid out everybody. There is so much we can do here. And if you do want to make that championship feel important, you've taken essentially 4 main eventers and thrown them into one big feud. If we do a 4-way at Backlash, I think that's quite exciting. And I think that could be really good. And I don't think Jacob Fatu would lose, but I do think there is some jeopardy there because you're going to have to come up with some ideas. I don't even think Solo Sikoa would be involved in that. So maybe he does screw over Jacob Fatu and then you go into that feud. I don't know, but I liked all of it. And the promo off, especially between LA Knight and Drew McIntyre, was just hard hitting, I guess, for lack of a better term. So let's do more of that, and they could even go into a feud. And maybe it's Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton when Randy Orton's done with John Cena. Because Drew is going to have to need something bigger if he's not going to win the US Championship, and I don't think he will do. And I'm also intrigued in terms of a parallel story, what we're doing with the women's title. Because Tiffany Stratton comes out, Jade Cargill interrupts her. They have a match, which I massively enjoyed. It was like the Charlotte Flair Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania. It's all over the place. But my gosh, I can't help but watching it. And the powerbomb that Jade Cargill hit was brilliant. This did suck. As much Naomi is my new favourite wrestler, but she comes out and causes the disqualification, so it's exactly the same finish as the men's US title thing with LA Knight and Drew McIntyre, so I wouldn't have done that. But then Nia Jax attacked Tiffany Stratton, so now I'm like, are we going to do a tag team match where it's Naomi and Nia Jax? They did have interaction later, taking on Tiffany and Jade, or that's kind of weird. Or are we going to do a 4-way there too, but that would be the same as the US men's one? I just don't really, to be a negative Nancy, want to see Nia Jax versus Tiffany Stratton again, because we saw that throughout 2024 and early in 2025. I just don't think we want to go back to that at the moment. It kind of makes you feel, is the women's division on SmackDown lacking in depth? That doesn't feel like it's the case. But I just thought that was a little bit interesting. And if you do go back to Naomi versus Jade Cargill, which I want, because again, third time, Naomi is my new favourite wrestler, it's kind of not justifiable because Jade just beat her at WrestleMania 1, 2, 3 clean in the middle of the ring. But at least they're all sort of getting into it. And I did enjoy the match. I don't want to say it was wibbly wobbly, that's too unfair. But I don't know, there's just something to it. There's something to Tiffany Stratton matches where I can't look away. I understand that reviews and wrestling ratings don't mean anything, and you're allowed your opinion. But Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter yesterday gave Tiffany versus Charlotte 1.25 stars. I do not understand that at all. I've gone back and watched it twice because it's such a crazy match. That's all I want. I don't want everything to be smooth all the time. Sometimes I just want to be taken in by what I'm seeing. So that was essentially SmackDown. It's going to be way better when it goes back to 2 hours. I do think 3 hours is too long and we elongate a lot of this. And we also had a backstage thing between John Cena and R-Truth. Jimmy Uso kind of popped in too. Is R-Truth going to help John Cena win a Backlash? Because he did say, if you need any help, call me. I don't hate it. I understand the internet. It would have a meltdown if we did that. But I like the fact of R-Truth kind of being John Cena's lackey and not realizing it's like a, Star Wars dark side kind of a thing. SmackDown was watchable though. If you did cut those 60 minutes off, I think it would be a super show. But in terms of after WrestleMania SmackDown to get you hyped about the rest of the year or the next few months, I definitely think it did a good job. And I'm just pumped for John Cena versus Randy Orton. I'm a sucker for nostalgia. I never thought I'd get to see this with the roles reversed. They're going to understand that too. They will go out of their way to make sure that it hits hard. And let's not pretend that John Cena hasn't seen the criticism from WrestleMania. He will have done, and he won't want to fall into that trap again. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be good. Now, of course, please do let me know your opinions on SmackDown in the comments below. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. And make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling too. Click the video on the screen, which is me just summing up all my thoughts about WrestleMania 41, because why wouldn't you want that? If you're into the gym and you want some supplements, go to grillermind.com/Simon. Use the code Simon to get 10% off. And at the moment, there's like $1 protein bars and 25% off other things. So you can fill your boots and it ships worldwide. Otherwise, it's Simon316 on all social media. Simon Miller on Cameo for personalized video messages. Simon J. Miller on the TikTok. And it is Pro Wrestling Tees and Big Cartel for merchandise. Check out the links down there. Support me as much as you can. I appreciate you, my friends, and I will talk to you again soon.